Hello. How are you doing? It's been a while. Hope you're all well. Look, I see you. You see me. Fantastic. Just adjusted the height of my monitor all this time, given I was looking up to it. Still make it lower. I feel like I've shrunk. Yeah. Maybe I need to lower it down a little bit more. Oh. How low can you go? That's about as low as it goes. You know, monitor high, isn't it? I'm sure it is. Something like that. Woo. Wow, there we go. Hey, looking at you directly. I can see you sitting there, watching me, watching you, watching me. Oh, yeah. So it's been a while. For that I can only apologise, but if you're familiar and you watch these streams on a regular basis, you know I've got underlying health issues with long COVID, and that affects my ability to stream on a regular basis, even when I'm not working. Because it's one of those things, you don't feel it, you don't do it. Unlike when you're working, when you don't feel it, tough, you still got to go and do the job. So it's like, yeah, you don't want to see me with lack of energy. Anyway, went out today, and I'm now feeling the renewed sense of energy coming on, which I'll probably just crash and burn in the next 30 minutes. We'll see how we go. Anywho, good news, everyone. I've been working on modular backgrounds in these forms. Make up modular backgrounds. What are modular backgrounds, you can hear you ask? Well, once the crickets die down and Unity decides to compile, you ever notice the more times Unity compiles in a session, the longer it takes to compile? Like from a few seconds to like 15 seconds, 30 seconds. So, in the level editor, we've now got this screen, which is completely new, because before it just used to be that green screen there, placement screen, conditional actions, unused. So now used here, which is great. Why is it great, I hear you ask? Because now, instead of like just a skybox, which, oh yeah, I need to preview in here. So I say no. I can add skybox. So, oh look, it's full of stars, and we can adjust the rotation of it how we like. See? Whee! Which is a lot better than the standard skybox offered. A lot better. We can do some like seed if there was in its set that something else is currently overwriting it, because currently this will do nothing. Even though all the values are getting updated. How can I prove the values are getting updated? Well, we put them in here. You see how the values are changing? I've limited it to 100, even though it can go significantly higher, because it's adding things in, and after 100 you're not getting a great amount of detail going on with that. See what I mean? I don't know if you see it. It's not really a good example, but 98, 99, 90. If you're looking at those little stars clustered somewhere, keep an eye on them. Have they really moved? Detail of like 5, then maybe, yeah. But then you could start getting back up to it. So the higher the detail, the less sort of randomization is. It just seems to, I don't know, move the stars slightly based on the randomization. Which is an interesting thing, which I don't fully understand. Interestingly, we could get Skybox and then we'll go, ooh, what texture can we add? We will add, well, there's only one thing there, a sun. You'll have to ignore the big red dot. That was me playing around with a selection system that I've decided not to do because I'm now just going to do it based on like that. Because it's for my needs. So you won't see the red dot. But you can get that on there and then we'll say, well, you know what? Let's change something. Let's change the colour. So it's currently, that's the default colour what it was for that. And we can now use a colour picker. And we can now make it green star. Ooh, how fancy is that? So we can change the colour as we want with various material overrides is what they call it. I don't want a colour. You don't want more than one colour because it overrides the other. Any others? Some things don't make a difference. But hey, so you can change the colour on it. And then what else we've got? Need to make this a bit easier to understand the differences and the breaks in things. Do we have clouds in? No. We have a planet we can add in. This takes a moment to load. Notice how the interface was still working because it's an addressable asset. You can see the little red selection dot put on there. And again, we can like change values on here, customize it, add extra stuff. Right, surface scroll. Did they even get used? That's interesting. So it is a vector 4. It's just got to make sure the values are getting set anyway. Yeah, the values are set there. So even though it's a vector 4, as it shows it's here, it's only using X and Y. So whatever that does. But yeah, this is based on some asset I bought by a Carlos Wilkes on the Unity store for modular backgrounds, which has got various ones. And he also does, so this is a fake background in effect. It's not 3D in effect that it's a proper planet. It's, see, some curved shape on a ball. So our skybox is a ball and they just fit on the inside, so we're inside a giant marble basically. Yeah, a giant marble, just like the end of Men in Black. There we go, I see. There we go, and again we can change stuff around. We can actually get, let's see, sun there. So the sun is behind, and if we wanted to, we could put the sun in front. With changing the orders of various things. With the star field now, well, it's hidden on the planet because it's behind the star field. And we're just going to get rid of the planet because it's not quite prime time for working in a mission due to the ordering of things in how they load. So it looks like the sun has instantiated before the planet. But you can see it's loaded in there. And was that how we wanted it? Excuse me, Daniel. Oh, well, that was how it was. Let's see if it does it now. Currently, there's a... what do they call it? Oh, it worked then. Will it work now with the background? Because it's running asynchronously, there's the whole cart before the horse sort of thing, you want to call it. So this is the order it needs to be in, and that's the order it should be instantiated. And if it all loads in the correct order, then it would do it. However, as you see, it's instantiated the order differently. So, well, actually, that is the correct order. Starfield, Sun, Planet. So why does that need to go there for that to work? Oh, interesting. It's even showing me it works there, but it's not working in the scene. Let's have a look. So we have this one here. We have the scene camera. I have a screen space HUD. This is my background camera. So why? Given that it's got the correct layer. Are you hiding? Oh, that's interesting then. How odd. Oh, notice how it's disappeared now. So it displays on here, but it's not displayed. Why? Default. Yeah. Oh, I guess we have to change you as well. There we go. Ah. So it does seem to work. And you can see the clouds in that moving very slowly. And while the sun isn't probably positioned as best as it could do, that's what it is. So that's how, in effect, it would work. The question would be, how do we change things up? So, you know, so like this can be defined by multiple nav points. Let's see how that's not going to work because we've not got any code for it. It only loads it when it first does it. Currently. Yeah. Okay. Anyhow, that's just showing it off a little bit, functionality wise. It's took me 2 weeks now. I started it around the 20th and now we're here. I was thinking it would probably take 2 weeks, but then I got about there and thinking, well, practically done with it. Well, I would have been done with it if I don't give a shit about the code base, but I do. I care a great deal. A lot of time was spent making sure that the different types we can have, such as whatever that is, skybox, texture ring, planet, and the other one's clouds, which is actually the last one to bring in there, to make sure it's all correct. Ooh, I nearly did it again, what I did last time. Good job I had it open in a different fucking window, you donkey. Where is it? It's the very first one. Oh, it's right past it. So here's the save file. Okay. All the information's in the save file, human readable. If you understood the format, you could change this by hand. Well, that's why I've got a level editor. So background skybox, got those values in. See, values have changed in certain places. So it's part of like making sure all the values get set. Interesting, material overrides have not been set when there were material overrides. Because we're not clever enough to say, aha, but, no but. So when we load it now, the material overrides won't exist, will they? What? Yeah, see? And yet, that planet had material overrides in it. So let's see now when we save that, why that is no longer saving the material overrides. Visual Studio. So it's going to be that. This is the base form. I had everything working, then I did a bit of refactoring. So it can only be something really small and daft. One could only hope. See if that's scammer. Gotta love it. Oh, surprising. Grifters. We're looking for saving in so we want the get. We're in the wrong place. This is not the form I clicked on to open. This is the form we clicked on to open. Right, so get data, which is handled directly with each individual one. So in this case, it's planet. However, this goes set data. Get data. So when we do this, we're saying get data from material overrides. So why are you not getting the data? Because we're getting the data from the forms that are created here, these two forms directly, not the asset itself. So let's click save. That we've got debug running, we're coming in, and our properties container, our first one is the slider, which is the warp one. So we come in and we get our new data. Yeah. And then we get the other one, which is just a field, is it? Why? Float field. So, oh, it added in it. I didn't notice it going in there. A wally. And then that's done that. So then it gets the data, spits it into here, which is now returning that to this. Yes. Return the data. Background elements. Yes. Back to there. Comes to update nav point. Oh, I hate when you're going through everything. Just take me through to the method. That'll be great. I don't need to see everything else going in there. Is there a debug what says take me into the fucking method? No, so it's like go to definition, stick a breakpoint on going side of it. Well done. So index is 0, so we're not creating a new one, we're actually doing this. Background is set here, background is not null. Set background. Oh, background is not null. So what's it actually putting in the file? Nothing. So it's not even creating it. Okay. So we come to here. And it's a reference. Ah, it's a reference. You naughty boy. Is that why it's a reference? Why would a reference matter? So we update the nav point. Let's update the mission cache. Then we save the mission data. Now, mission data cache is inside our nav point collection. Inside background. serial overrides are all there. Handy Unicorn! What's up, dude? Been a while. How are you doing? It's been a few weeks, hasn't it? It's probably exactly the last time I last streamed. Twitch's #1 developer. Who's that then? If it's #1 at being inconsistent, yeah, guilty as charged. Oh. Let's see. So if it's coming to do the serialization at this point, so it's done that, it's serialized. It's finished, it's done the serialization, so the file has been updated, and now we have... So the saving worked. We should have double checked that, shouldn't we? Saving worked. How about loading? So I'll just disable that and just see if it's... Ah, it's the loading that's not working. How is that? So why would you not work? So that was a good point for a breakpoint there. So we have modular elements, we have that, we've got our data. Okay, so our data's in. Just need to get the correct form, which we know it will, because otherwise the form wouldn't display. We instantiate it by passing the data through to it into here. And then it's going to be up to that point there. So data is not null. So we set the form data. And it should be background planet data, which it is. We then call set data. It does. And then we go into load assets. So it obviously loads the asset. Passing the data, it comes through, it'll spit it out there. So we come back to here. Okay, data in tow. It's not been modified. So we then go into uncompleted. Got the object data here. Oh. There we go. When will the game be finished? How long's a piece of string? So, on the store page, in the Early Access section, what does it say? Approximately how long will be in Early Access? So the short of it, I've said between 12 to 18 months. And this was on the 10th of November. Do I expect to be done by the 10th of November this year? No. I'm going to say no, at this point it's going to be at least 18 months to be done. Though to have it, yeah. So 18 months more likely to 24 months. So yeah. A year, another year, hang on, another year, let's work this out. My basic math fails, so we're about 6 months in, aren't we? That's 6. Yeah, possibly, yeah, it might be more realistic. Yeah, year. I just can't do basic math. This is why it'll take long because we're brain fog. So a year to a year and a half at most, I would expect, because basically we've got all the features that I want in the game now. Not release but like the PDC stuff that I put an update out back in last month. That's in. That was like the last really needed to do feature. Really wanted that one, and now stuff that needs to be done is more getting the missions completed. Stuff that will affect the level editor in that terms. So like I've been working on the skybox because the skyboxes that were in there are nice, but people complain like a lack of. Well, people say space is empty. So are they just saying that, well, the skyboxes are empty because there's no planets in the skyboxes? Or are they talking about tangible elements in the scene that you could effectively collide into? You know? It's like, what do they mean? So, no clarity on that. So the idea is, right, I'll upgrade the skybox system. Now I can have these modular backgrounds going in, which will allow me to create more interesting scenes by adding multiple elements together and adjusting them how I want it to be, sort of thing. And then that way we've got something. I'm not going to launch it, but I know what we're going to do with that. Oh yeah, that's another thing we need to do. Set the background of Starfield. What use is this? Yeah, so 12 to 18 months from now, I'd expect. Just to be clarifying. And that's just taking in consideration of my ongoing health issues and also when I return to work, because I've been waiting 7 months, 8 months for my employers to get their arse in gear and put the support in place to help me. And it's been a wild ride. Now, what did I want to do? These ones. So these are now background. Yes, change children. So they're working properly. And then with this uncompleted, I guess we should just say, you know what? Where's uncompleted called? They're in there. Okay, we can deal with that. Data's not used there anyway. Just do that, make it obvious. So it's just you. We put this in here. And then if that. Do that, and then serial override else. Well, I won't be saying anything because there's nothing being passed. Back in here, and we can set this as material override. And then there we go. So right. Maybe. Where have you gone? My word. Element, background, element, form. All I called that, so. Let's just make sure it's only going to set it if there's something worth setting. So this should, in effect, make the backgrounds fully functional as to what they needed to be, I would hope. So, modular backgrounds. Let's put our skybox in, put that first so we can see it. And then got texture. Can even have a ring. Not added yet. Not finished doing it. There we go. So we launch that now. And there we go. There's our sun down there. And here's us here. Sweet. Now has it kept the properties. Yay. Yay. Neat. And now, so that's like nav 1, and then we can go do like nav 2, and then say, well, you know what, skybox, lesser stars, and Colour. That yellow, launch that. We have so our first planet, which has got the pink or red, and then oh, we're flying into the planet, and same thing I said before, we've not done the code for that, you muppet, but it's working, which is great. I don't think I need to be in material overrides anymore. No. That's way too much. No, definitely not. There's no going to be first person mode with landing on planets, flying through planet, atmosphere, like Wing Commander 4 or the last mission in Wing Commander 3. None of that. Too much to take on at this point. Maybe in a title in the future we might get that way. I do have an asset pack that is perfect for that. Same similar asset pack to what I'm using now, but the asset pack I'm using is literally everything's fake background scene. It's like effectively creating your own custom skybox with elements which you don't interact with in the gameplay at all. Yeah, so the focus on Absolute Territory, that was my first game. Space combat with missions. Didn't really expect to include missions or a campaign with it, but some people really wanted it in the testing, so I thought, well, given that all the testers wanted it, all 5 of them, stands to reason. You know, should have it in there, because Absolute Territory was really only gonna be like Wing Commander Academy. Create your own missions and play them and upload them to Steam Workshop. So I'm glad I didn't do that, because no one uses a Steam Workshop for that game. But now there's a campaign there for people to play, not get bored with straight away. So that developed into what that was, which added about another year of development time on it. So even though the game isn't great, it was my first title, and it added dogfighting combat, which is what my whole theme and focus is like mission-based combat. Not interested in open world exploration. Every man and the dog do that, and they never even finish what they start. So that was the first title. This one, the idea was just to add turrets on to a ship and upgrade the ship size to Corvette. And that expanded into, well, for using Corvette, we've got room for at least matching like what iWar did and Free Space with a damage system. So first all we add is damageable sections to armor and hull. So armor, you've got your sides, your front, your back, top, bottom, and then hull is omnidirectional. Any directional damage, the base value of that. And it works as you expect. So if you're taking damage to the right armor, then when that gets to 0, you start taking damage to the hull. But then if you reposition to a segment which has got armor, then you'll stop taking damage to the hull until that gets whittled away. So we add that, and then we add damage control systems, so then we can have subcomponents which affect the performance of your ship, and then your ship takes damage in those areas of those components that will affect the performance of the ship, and then a damage control system to repair those components to get it back up to a working state. And then there was other things like, given that so the first game had like gimbaled guns if you get close to it, and it just lock on straight away and point at it and shoot it and you'll hit it. But then I upgraded the physics to then if you are sliding, the bullets inherit your speed onto the muzzle velocity. And then that became a bit of an issue with A-Spec because you feel like you're being cheated. The gun sights are pointing over the target and you feel like you should be hitting it, but it's still missing it because of physics. Eventually I managed to get that solved and now it's significantly more accurate. Only if the velocity of the target you're shooting is not constantly changing, because it can constantly accelerate and decelerate, and therefore if you fire and then they do a velocity change, that bullet could miss because it's not magnetized. But there's one game that did it and I like the idea of it, which was Hypergate. So I think that also like a gimbal one, so if your gun's pointed on and locked onto the target, you shoot, you're guaranteed to hit it, no matter what it does, because the bullets effectively make a beeline straight to the target. And I tried faffing around with stuff with like doing more clever ways, like magnetizing, get closer, stronger magnets will bring it to it, and shit like that didn't work out. And I decided, you know what, we'll just roll with what we got. And a lot of testing, module system, oh my word, module system. So then yeah, so did you know Absolute Territory didn't even have a ship editor when you're playing the missions? Originally you didn't choose your ship, you were just given a ship. I added that on post-launch, and now I've upgraded that to include subsystem modules. Well, don't call them subsystems, but passive modules, which can improve the performance of your ship in various ways. And that took a while to get that done. And then I wanted the really large ships to be able to break into pieces. So then we added that. So if I hadn't added all that stuff and just stuck with the original plan of just having large Corvette ships fly around and pretty much like Absolute Territory, it would have been done 2 years ago. And maybe, you know, I should have done that. And then gradually increased and add features on it. But I decided that, no, if I'm going to do it, I want to do it right, how I would envision it, rather than cutting features that you would expect from a game of that type, regardless of the price. And that's why it just took so long. But now I'm feeling confident that, you know, I've got a release now. All the features I wanted are in the game. It just needs polishing up. Just needs content for the missions to finish off the mission campaign, and add additional weapons and modules, systems, and then just make sure all that works correctly. Possibly update the equipment screen, which is for fitting ship equipment, because it's a bit janky, in a word, using that, and I don't like jank. So I'll probably redo that, but that will close to release anyway, to make it a bit more friendly to use. But yeah, this what I'm working on now, modular backgrounds, is the last major change I'm envisioning for the game. It is literally all about content and Q&A, really. Is it Q&A? Quality and assurance, yeah, Q&A, leading up to release. And post-release as well, really, because I never thought I would do any more updates to Absolute Territory. I always said I would do updates if needed for bug fixes and that. And lo and behold, just a few weeks ago, I did a bug fix for it. Which was a bit difficult because the code page has changed so much since then. It's like... Plus being surprised at how fast it bloody run on the frame rate on this computer. Oh, it was like, fucking hell, did it really run that fast? So, yeah. So, leading on from this, I would then like to look at sort of like a sandbox open play area. Again, it's nothing to do with planets, but it's leading up to that possibility. I hate this track with that stupid little squeak in it. It's always in the right ear as well. I only hate it for that squeak. For ages I thought it was like something in the house squeaking. So yeah, so next title is going to be something like, if you've ever heard of it, Frontier Rangers. It was an old DOS game from the 90s. Yeah, you flew a space fighter with the Rangers and you protected like a sector of space with civilian traffic going through against a alien menace who come and cause aggro, like pirates or something like that, causing issues to civilian traffic, and you would warp to different locations in the map and deal with that. And the interesting mechanic is it had like, you would deploy sensors, because otherwise they'd come around and they'd destroy these sensor stations, and that just like blackouts that area. So then you'd like, are there enemies there? Were they there? Was that sensor post already destroyed? And then you want to maybe fly that area, check it out, stick another sensor buoy in the area to keep a track on enemies coming through the area, and keep the civilians and some certain stations safe. And that would be my next one, because that would be completely different to what we currently got. With how we've got is you start a mission, and as a change, so in absolute territory, your mission, you would always basically autopilot to another area generally in the majority of missions. So you clear enemies, autopilot enabled, autopilot to next waypoints, which would take you to the next level in a mission, which I call a nav point. And it effectively just loads that self-contained scene. What I want to be able to do is effectively use that nav point structure in the level that I've created to create an open-ended world with using nav points of interest that would populate that sandbox world, and then have NPCs roaming around in that environment. And the issue with that is once you get 100,000 meters out away from, say, a civilian NPC, the physics loses accuracy. So depending on how big the world is, we could be talking like 100,000 meters, at which point the accuracy of the physics system will practically not exist. Everything will be jumping around everywhere, and that would be bad for gameplay, because things would be colliding with each other and registering hits when it shouldn't be registering hits, or more likely registering misses or not registering the hits because of the floating points inaccuracies at that distance. So what I want to do is then create a little simulation that runs in effect in the background, which can handle those large distances and emulate what's going on with a simple physics-based stuff what you'd expect X4 to do. So like collisions disabled for objects way out of the way until you come in there, and then it enables collisions and tidies things up and switches from that simulation mode to the actual physics mode, which would require me to break apart even more how components interact. So with the AI, I would want it to interact with a specific simulation model, and when we switch from one model to another, the AI would still make the same effective decisions going on there. The only thing it might do is exclude consideration for collision checks. And then once the player gets in there, then we'll enable collisions and ensure if there's any other colliders going on, then we'll probably just separate them to avoid any further collisions, then enable the collision, stuff like that. So it seems like it's effectively a seamless open world sandbox that you can fly around and interact with people and elements on the other side of the sector, while on the opposite side stuff's still going on where ships can be fighting each other and whatnot, and you're expecting the same outcome, which would expect to be quite difficult, but I've got good ideas of how I would manage that. But it would require a rework, and also consideration, would I do that in Unity or would I do that in a DLL file? Because if I was doing it in the DLL file, it would have to be C++, but C++ is so alien to me now, given how much C# I've done. I'd rather do it in C#. And if I did it in C# in Visual Studio and created a DLL, it would probably just be slow, because unless we can compile it to C++, like Unity allows us to compile code into C++ with its burst compiler now. So I'll probably just do it all in Unity, assuming Unity are around. I looked at the stocks and shares for Unity. Oh boy, they've crashed. They've crashed. Something like $18 from like $30. Oh, bad stuff. People are not confident in Unity and what they're doing. And I don't blame them. I'm not. So we'll see. Maybe by the time I get A-Spec out, Unity as a game engine is no longer a reliable engine to be using because of their pricing model. In which case, it'll be like deciding where to go to and effectively starting all over again. Which at that point I would probably just do much smaller games and gradually build up. Or maybe I'll just sack it and just do small games altogether. To build up a catalogue to a point where I may be able to once again return and have the time to do it. Will it fuck? We should be living in a future where robots are serving our every needs. Where the fuck are these robots that were in the 60s and in the 50s that they said we'd have? Where are our flying cars? Where are hoverboards that actually hover and are not just gimmicks of using technology from hovercraft? Where's our self-drying clothes? Where's our 3D virtual stuff? Holograms that interact in proper real-world light environments and not in dark backgrounds. We don't even have a 3D TV anymore. AI will be a tool to assist. Everyone saying separately are absolutely clueless. I mean, we see that with art, people are using AIs and effectively using other people's license art to generate their own model to then create stuff. And let's just put aside the legality of that. You ask it to create a piece of work, it creates a piece of work. You put that command in again, is it going to generate the exact same piece of work again, exactly identical, or is it going to create something different? Because if you say, right, create the Eiffel Tower with Godzilla behind it, does it? Okay, now I want Godzilla to be breathing fire using the same original source image. It can't do that. It'll create something entirely different. Still provides you what you're asking in it, but it cannot make minor alterations. It recreates the whole image. So that's why AI is useless at that point anyway. So great for maybe doing, what's it called, concept work, as long as it's legally sourced and no issues with legality on it. And then, you know, get someone who can actually create the work consistently for you and keep it to a standard, because that'll be the other thing. Every AI you see creating something, it's always slightly different. Plus, it's always still wrong. And there's no object permanence for it. So you might have it create a scene, and the scene outside will be like a snowstorm. But then in one window, it'll like, no, there's no storm there. It's summer. Yeah, that's all it does. It doesn't understand what it's created, how to adapt it. It just takes bits and says, oh, right, okay. What is it? It's like, I can only assume it's like the early AI neuro, you know, where they try to make it learn based on whatever it does. I forget what it's called, very basic shit that AI was doing in the 90s, where it mimics the neurons of the brain, and you'd have to run it through, test, and reward it for doing a certain thing and take away and you know, punish it for doing other things. And there's this awesome YouTube channel where it was like showing how you get a basic character in 3D who can run around, and the first step was teaching it to walk, and it took about 1,000 iterations for it to learn how to walk, and those iterations are like children of the past iteration. Yeah, well, that's the other thing. You'll see it's like Grammarly, that's now using AI, and you can see if you use it, if you're not careful, it just doesn't make sense what it's saying. Well, statistically it should use its words, but it's got no meaning of the context of what the actual sentence is saying. So that's put me off now with using Grammarly, and like, I was thinking maybe I should buy it, and now given some of the suggestions it gives it, it's just like, no. Spell checker in Word, yeah, to a point, but that, what's it called now in the editor, what we use? So I highlight something and it pops up with a tooltip, flipping autocomplete. Even that has got objectively worse in the last couple of years since it's decided to use AI for that. Before it weren't great, but it was consistent and fairly accurate. Now it's a lot less accurate, a lot less useless, touting the AI generation. If people are going to be continuing to embrace AI and use what it is, the quality of everything in the world is just going to dramatically drop significantly. Forget Skynet. We don't need to worry about Skynet destroying us with weapons or whatever. We just have to worry about Skynet suggesting mediocre products and stuff that doesn't make sense and is absolutely pointless. And then we'll get corporations run entirely by AI. And then we'll get to the point where the AI will start making suggestions to fire the board of directors and whatnot, in which people were like, oh no, we need to put restraints in there. We can't have AI firing management. And he tries to make Google Bard make a poem with rhymes. Explain what rhymes were and how it's supposed to sound, but the end result didn't have any rhymes despite the bad time it had. You could play it, said it's sorry, and then agreed there wasn't any rhymes and redid it all false again. Yeah. So I was using ChatGPT, and I'll use it occasionally just for try to stuff like, can it quickly give me an idea of how to solve a program in Prozl? And it can vaguely reach that way, but it will always be a fault what it cannot figure out to get it to work correctly. And the same when it comes to stories, inaccuracies in there. And one of the things I learned, you had to tell it to stop being lazy. And I found that because someone else, like on a Twitter post, said, tell it to stop being lazy. And I told it to stop being lazy, and all of a sudden it started actually being a bit more accurate. But now they've made changes to the model and it's fucking useless again. Depends what it is. If it's something new that I'm not familiar with, I'll ask it. I end up finding that I've actually done code and forgotten about it for what I'm trying to do anyway, and eventually come across it when I'm searching for a particular keyword of a method that I'm using in the Unity engine library. And then it's also a bit of a mix of like trying to understand really what it's giving you and does it make sense, and then learning context and whatnot, but mostly code wise it's like fuck that shit. A lot of the stuff I don't need it to do when I'm creating stuff. It's only when I'm interacting with like the UI stuff in Unity that I might look at it a bit more. If I'm doing something new, I've completely forgotten what I did before. Oh, did we just go straight through an ad break? Yeah, I looked at the ads and started doing every hour now, because every half an hour was a bit too much given given that. But that reminds me, I need to take a quick break because I've been sat here talking for an hour, so I'm just going to make myself a brew, have a quick stretch. Yeah, Copilot is useful in Visual Studio. You can type in big parts of the code and style you do yourself. Yeah, well, I mean, as a tool, boilerplate stuff, yeah, I've at it. I mean, but if you're getting something really technical, then it definitely won't be creating an entire project on its own, unless maybe you ask it to create a calculator, in which case, you know, maybe it will be able to create a calculator. But will it work? I'll be right back. Yeah, I think in the future there'll come a point where if people do rely on AI for doing the majority of the coding, they'll just have a huge unmaintainable mess of code. And every time it makes a change, it just introduces more bugs. And then they'll have to hire coders to debug that shit and try and fix it. Which I wouldn't want to have that job, because management will just like, oh, you want this change, so we'll just now tell it to rewrite the software again to add one specific feature, and it rewrites the whole system, and then you've got to find all the extra bugs it's just added in. Yeah. A tool is fine. Anything beyond that is not. Definitely. Oh, it's just not there. Though I do wonder, has anyone ever tried to have AI learn to create art by expressionism? Because then all it needed to do was like source it via pictures you take of everyday objects, and then get it to recreate those objects with various bright colours and brush strokes sort of shit. I mean, that would have been an interesting thing to do, but then because art is so subjective, how would you train the model with its weights? At least it wouldn't have had any legal complexities. If they had to go and jump that route where they have to train it off existing artwork, then that just shows to me that advancement in AI is very small and insignificant for the grander scheme of things. So let's see, we have loads the initial, the autopilot, no code for loading the next scene in. Okay. Where was it? Here we go. Modular. So we go for it. So it's a load asset. And the interesting thing is we're not really guaranteed the order of loading the assets. Surely. Because it's all done asynchronously. Now we're loading a specific individual one. But we might want to load a whole batch of them in the same way. As in a list. So if I pass it through, and this would be the list where it loads them all to guarantee it is loading them correctly. Addressable assets isn't easy. Getting it to understand references, so you know, like I had a like pooling system, but it doesn't really need pooling for this since we're just instantiate these backgrounds once really, and don't need none of that fancy malarkey. I needed a way of being able to link the addressable asset, well, the asset reference to the instantiated object itself. So I had a collection of the references of all the assets, you know, we expect to use. And then we get the asset resource locations. As we do it in a single loop, which is run asynchronously, but it's not going to get ahead of itself. So then we ensure that when we've loaded the locations, that our keys mirror up to the assets in a separate list. So that's that part. And then we can then say, right, I've got a background ID of 255. We can then find the product using it, and then load in the product PPAP based that way. Or by keys, which is what asset references use. Though I mean, using keys is probably a good way, because we can run multiple backgrounds. Though when it comes to this, so again, this is being run asynchronously, so it doesn't care about the ordering. It'll just pop them in, and that can mess the ordering out of the level editor. Therefore, as we're putting in the background element, which really should probably be the background elements as an array rather than the individual one. So we now have an array, and then I want to call load on there, do we? Let's keep it simple. We'll ignore the asset reference utility, apart from we need to know the load internal that we're going to be calling. That's the crux of it. So in this, you're now going to complain because you don't know the difference between the public and private. This is going to be coroutine. Is it a numerator or a numerable? Sure, it's a numerator. Yeah. That's the other issue. We were doing these start coroutines. I need a way to cancel it in the level editor. Oh, and in here maybe. Make sure all coroutines stop when the user does something where it should stop. Like deciding they want to create a new scene when the stuff's still loading in the background. And then it'll probably do a new scene and then populate the shit in there anyway. Make sure it cleans tidy. Ooh, right, okay, so element data. Now what are you complaining about, my friend? Missing comma. What? Okay. Getting it right first time every time. Maybe one day I will need AI to help me type, because it feels like I'm just getting worse. We get that, get reference here, and no, has to be a game object. Can't do it any other way. Fucking useless. Why give me an interface if the only thing it can pull is a game object anyway? Why can't I pull another? Like when we instantiate the component attached to the game object with everything else that it entails. Nope. Look, it's a fucking modular background reference, you bastard. Now then, all completed. Well, that's going to be a key value pair, that's a start. And then what? No, we still need it there. So yeah, also lots of maybe more friendlier debugging options. Debugging options, yeah. How would you present that? Oh dear, we failed to do something. Oh well. Let's just crack on with the game. In a broken state. We like need a pop-up saying something's gone wrong with an old reference somewhere, and that means the game state could be broken, and send a bug report. And that's another thing maybe to do. an easy way for people to submit bug reports. But then you become popular and it becomes the bane of your existence as a no one developer. But he had submitted his own bug reports rather than just like automated ones. I think I would just stick with an automated one, and then people want to submit a bug report, do what they do now. Because they might just start reporting things that aren't bugs. Because currently either people don't have bugs or they see a thing and they think it's intentional. And then I see it and I say, well, that's definitely a fucking bug. Let's get it fixed. So we do this one. We find our product reference. We have to do it in here anyway, there's no other way about it. So we find our product by its ID, get the reference, we load that asset, and then when it's done what it's done, what's the signature? A string. Oh, what are you returning? Why are we doing a string? The primary key. The resource location. That's why. So let's not do that, and instead do this. And then it's not going to be a string, but now it's going to be an integer because we want the element ID, which makes more sense to us. Doing it this way, that is. And then that would be another one of you, mate. Have I done that right, or is that just totally fucking wrong? Totally fucking wrong. It has to be a delegate. So Okay, and we take that. But that. Can we set a size, capacity, this relevant data, length. So expected size, so that should help with garbage collection. I'll reduce garbage collection anyway. Yeah. So now we can load it all in the correct order. When it succeeds, dot add the ID and the operation handle, is it? Always do it wrong. Okay. Okay. So that's loaded the asset. Ready for instantiation. And then cause load, identify that load. Op completed. Oh yeah, it's the op completed helper that handles it. Which then instantiates what it needs to instantiate. Well, that's my old one. For a singular. Did it? Yeah. So now we're going to have this one, which uncompleted. Still need to be able to marry them up. Let's do that. Can someone get that? And then we then go through then. Why are you being funny with me now? What is wrong with you? Cannot use local variable before it's declared. What? What the fuck are you on about? Element data. Element data. Where is my stupidity? It lied there. So bracket, whatever. Dot unique ID. So does it try get collect? Come on, it's a fucking dictionary. Nope. It's not a fucking dictionary. This needs to be the actual signature. Because this is the op completed. Oh, come on. Oh, why am I doing that? You're smarter than that. So we think. So we get the unique ID of the element. That's the asset, unique ID. Out of our game object. Value. Oh yeah. Let's call it handle for what it is. Also learn to spell and type. So we find it. We get the handle result. And with that result, that is our game object that we want to instantiate. And then element, assets, rotation, assets. So we're going to use this helper, which basically just instantiates our background using the settings that we pass through it. So we load the assets with the collection of element data. We're passing our key value per unsigned int delegate method. We then asynchronously find each asset. Which we're finding the addressable product, and we're loading the addressable product for that. And then we wait till it's done, add it to a key value pair, and then keep on going. Pass that data through our completing method. Goes through the element data, tries to find the instantiated object, instantiates it, tries to find the loaded object, instantiates it, sets its position, rotation, and every other thing it needs. And then, what's this? Else, that's not going to work. This that needs to come up in here. And then, I need to release, so we can release after we've instantiated, because we're not going to be using handle after that point, are we? No, sir. No, we are not. So we can release the... Oh, can we actually release the up handles? Don't think that's not going to work, is it? No, because it's like this. We need our own. Like that. And now it will do that. What? Come on. You dumbass. There we go. Oh, it's been 2 hours now. I have some stuff that was defrosted, so I'm gonna sort that out. Wait a moment. Food. You know those easy to bags of plastic, like so along the line to get into this packet. Couldn't even do that. Oh, very feel full of energy, but your body lies to you when you try to rely on it. That's not mate. Can't do that. What are you all about? Oh, hopefully this will work now. Just eating, so keep on the be right back screen. Go with the code that I've done. Probably not going to matter. I'll just start in a minute anyway. But it would be nice to load it all synchronously and then instantiate it when they're all done. Because you expect it to be a bit quicker that way, but depends if it becomes a performance issue. We should test and benchmark that. Before trying to optimize something that doesn't need optimizing. But I've done that before and made more work for myself. It didn't work. break, and all you can hear is me scraping a plate. You can only imagine how nails on the chalkboard that could sound. I don't know how we do it. The British building of homes. We managed to build homes that keep the heat in during summer and make you feel cold when it's cold. Just goes to show how poor it is. Yeah, I had insulation in my house fitted about 10 years ago in the cavity wall stuff. And the other month someone came round and put a camera in. And it's like, given this cavity wall insulation should have gone all the way up to the roof, which it did, it's now like no higher than my knee, if that. So there's literally nothing there. But can't just have extra cavity wall insulation put on top of that. I have to wait for a grant for when they can remove the old cavity wall insulation before putting new stuff in. Unbelievable, isn't it? Just goes to just show, like, if it compacted that much, what was the point in putting it in the first place? If it can get that low, and we're talking something like 20 feet going down to like 2. So yeah. You know, I don't know. You think they'd have like some substance that would allow it to adhere to the side of the cavity walls and remain in place better. Cavity wall insulation, the biggest con ever there was in 10 years ago. Glad I had it done when there was another grant and not just paid to have it done, because I would feel absolutely ripped off. There you go. Okay, let's get the screen change back on. Before I forget. So we see if this works. First of all, What do you mean? Oh, load assets. Plural. Where am I going? Yay. So that's when it does that at the before it even starts the mission, so maybe doing it there is not a good idea at that point now. But when we initialize the mission, well, to be honest, it's as good a place as any, since it's actually providing an opportunity to load while we're doing other things. So the next question is, well, what? I was just going to complete past it. So on enable, on start cinematic. On finish cinematic. So this is a good thing. You load it there and on finish you instantiate it. Or we load instantiate and hide it and then enable it. What is the bit that is doing the whole... Alright, so we come in here, finish cinematic, set up my player stuff. Spawn the next nav point. Finish cinematic. So that would be making sure the next nav point is loaded. Uh-huh. Hmm. So it comes in, it does all this shit. Gonna do now spawns. Excuse me. Load mission data to play, and then da 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 da. Current nav point index. Zero. Loading data. Da da da. Da 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 da. Okay. Well, it seems like probably a good idea to be doing it. Yeah, this is where it's doing all the other spawning, so it would make sense to load and spawn the other stuff. You'd think, anyway. So, load mission there. So there, replace spawn pool. Spawn pool replacements. Alright, yeah. So before we do any of that, we do this. Maybe we'll yes. And so we really want all of that. Replace all of this in here. It should be self-contained. Yes. Yes. Enough point. Yes. Okay. Do I have something that says what the current skybox is? What's this? Change skybox ID. Is this for debugging? See, we don't want to reload the skybox if the skybox is already loaded. So public int skybox in use. Get the private set. So if there's -1. And then go in here equals int dex, and I suppose if index not equal to skybox in use, then change the skybox. A very simple thing. And then we are in there and there. And we'll just try and set the skybox. Need to. That's not. So that's most basic a thing. Now, when we come to do mission spawns, was it that? Yes. Current nav index, load the data. Wedding, badong. Current nav point index. Yeah. And then when we go back to level manager, we're not going to load it here now, because we're going to do it on the nav spawn a bit later. And that will be consistent behavior. Because if we're going to autopilot somewhere else and update the scene, then expectations would be how it does it when you first enter the game mission. Alright, no errors. Let's see what we get. Excuse me. Modular backgrounds. Let's load what we had. So we got this planet with... Is there a sun involved? Where's the sun? Sun's there. Oh, I refer it there where we can see it when we come in. So that's like a red there. Whatever its basic one is. And then when we come into here, we've overridden that. Oh, we were supposed to override that. We got another error issue. Oh no, okay, well let's try it. So color. Yellow. Save it. Make sure it's coming through here. It is not. It has not come through here. What's the third one? It's not saved it. Okay. So let's see. Now it thinks it's red. Don't know why it does that. A bit weird. So why is it not saving that? So we want, close that. Close that. Don't need that. We want the... So, loading asset. This is when we're saving it. So, planet form, set data, get data. Said it's saving, it's not updating it. So we saved. We come in and there's no color form. Therefore, let's go to implementation, isn't it? Which is a bit confusing. Background planet, come in here, material overrides, get data, input field, slider, float 4, color field, which is a color field. Okay. So why? What are we looking at? We're looking at that. Let's just simplify this. So our child is a slider, and then a float field, and then a color field. So it should then go into here, which it does, and there's values here, which is correct, and it's in here, which is correct. Correct. Well, so we're going to update the nav point like we did looked at before. Comes to here. This is index 1. Are we looking at index 1? Am I being an ass? Being an ass, aren't I? Oh. Second half point. Oh, it's there. Fucking brain fog. So that's nav 2, that's nav 1. Where's my sun gone? Save that. Nav 2, nav 1, nav 2. Sure, we want a skybox. Okay, it's full of stars again. Yay, launch that. So, invalid key. There's a helpful point. Can you show me where? So, undo mission nav spawns. Line 57. 97. Okay. So we get here. Wow, helpful. Do that. Come to here. Failing on the reference that it supposedly found. That's why. I wasn't actually passing it the asset reference. I was passing it the container I created that contains the asset reference. It didn't want that. Where the fuck is that sun again? Save. Load. Okay, the sun doesn't want to load. Yes. Background, skybox, texture, rotation. Fuck off. Okay, yeah, it's okay, so the sun doesn't do it, but, you know. We need to test. Right, so the first thing is there's no fucking sun, and there's an error. What's this error? Oh, that was not a good point. Interesting why you might throw an error then. Attempting to use an invalid operation handle. Is it because we've released it in the wrong place? Probably. No, can't find that. Do that. Yeah, complete that. Come in here. Release at that point. Oh. Yeah. Release at this point. So we spawn the first one and then release all the handles and it goes, "Wait, mate, no, what you doing? This is uninitialized," and bleh. Stars, planet, the sun that we can't position for some reason. Autopilot to new scene, and let's see how quickly it goes. It needs a momentary transition, doesn't it, really? Or does it? I just feels so rough. Hopefully that's an editor thing. Just to confirm. Alright. Of course, we need to delete the existing objects from the list. Basic shit. Mm-hmm. So then what we would like is just to delete everything in there for now. Mm-hmm. Which is back to where he just was. So move the world modular backgrounds container is how we get to that area. Back to simulation manager. And then no. We have to say it's a transform. In what was that? Don't transform. So we're doing that. Calling this child, so we're not confusing ourselves with the transform of simulator manager, despite it being static. And then destroy child game objects. Is that what you like? Never actually tried doing destroying on a transform, but destroying the game by objects is the correct way. I know that for sure. Maybe I did do a transform, but all it did is just delete the transform rect, which I would not be surprised, because you can remove that component. So yeah. So always do the game objects. So we destroy them, and then we'll load in the next set. Grr. So Sunday, and then yeah, so as it deleted it, it feels smoother. I'm wondering having too many assets is an issue. Probably. Hey look, there we go. Say it looks smoother, but I'm looking at the live preview on YouTube and it looks anything but. Okay. YouTube. Go home. You're drunk, you know. So the question is now, why are the physicians not being set? Because it was loaded, so that makes life easy for me because I made this little modular background helper. Let's think about this. It's saved, but when it loads it, it doesn't do it. So it's not the background helper because that is for setting it in the scene more than anywhere else. Or is it modular background? Yeah, that's that one, and then yeah, that one. Yeah, okay, so it's not that. Therefore, if it's not loading it yet again. Oh, there's a rotation thing it should be setting. So 1, 2. Really obvious. See what we get. Say, where is it doing it? Rotation, float free, 1 and 2, set value without notify. So that sets the values. We load the assets. Go into here. And then where was I? We want to catch it when we come out here and see what's happening at that point. This must be doing the other one. Yeah. Oh, what's this one doing? Right, so object data. Right, this one. So we've got no material override. So do this. Come in here. Get default materials. Whoop, where are we going? So that's not doing anything with position, as far as we know. We instantiate. That's the point where we're looking for, isn't it? So we go into... Is it in here? Let's do it anyway. So we go in here. Use defaults. True. Oh. Yeah. That's not a good way of checking. That makes sense now. So when we use this material overrides thing, we should set it there, but with this completed. With that. And then we've got a condition of use defaults of false because we're loading it from a file, and then true because we're loading it from a file and using that. And then so use defaults, use defaults. That doesn't matter. And then what's this one? Yeah, use defaults is true because that's just changing and selecting something new. Excuse me, but that would be false as well. Both are false because we're loading. Passing the data through, that's what we used. Silly boy. So, I didn't save anything, so the values are still there. Fingers crossed. See, a lot of software and game development is all about testing and making sure it works correctly. Quite a lot of it. And you could do test plans on what, and when I did software, I would do that. It's a bit more harder with game development, given just how complex it goes, but at least testing when you implementing features to make sure they work is right. Well, that looks like it's now, yeah. Yeah, let's make that 12. Yeah, look at that. You can even change the quality of that. 10. Oh, that's really small. I don't know what ring size does. Detail. 5. 1. 2, 3. That. free. Can't even see any difference there. And then the sun, arc size 5 by 5. Don't know if that make a difference. So now, hopefully, there we go, things are aligned. How good. And then we also pilot and oh look. Good stuff. Is it me or does it look like it's wobbling a bit? Could be the editor. As long as it's smooth in the build, that's all fine by me. Oh. Right. Oh, that's like 3 hours. Oh, excuse me. If you're interested in what I'm working on, space combat. And instead of flying a space fighter, you know, flying space warship, size of a Corvette. You're linking both channels, and should have a page open. So A-Spec First Assault, and you have Corvette ships. We have gimbaled guns with automatic tracking. We have monitoring of wingmen and other important objectives. Orders to complete. Detailed list of weapons, a radar, damageable sections with layers. Oh. Communications, damage control systems, guns, missiles, turrets, Newtonian physics. I believe the term is simcade. Cross between arcade and simulation is where we're going for, so it's not realistic forces, it's exaggerated. What you can see when you turn, you can still slide, but if we're in space and going that fast, we can slide for hours longer than we do in the game, which is a matter of seconds really. So fine-tuned to make it good and fun, you know? Yeah, no. Why is the web page saying I've got notifications? And I'm not. Yes, yeah, okay. Thanks, Steam, but we're putting it in there. Alright, well, thanks for watching. It is early access as well. There is a demo, so try before you buy. And is there anyone? You know what? We're going to raid an animal category. The reason I'm going to raid it is because it's really simple to just raid that channel. It's an animal sanctuary with ferrets. There's hundreds of thousands of the buggers, and they're all wigglers, and it's all cool. So stick around, check it out. Entirely funded by the ads on Switch. So you just have to sit there and just watch the channel if you want to know how to help them out. It's as simple as that. Massively funded by the ads. Well, thanks for watching, and until next time, bye for now. Get the wigglers.